IVM.
You have to be careful with everything nowadays, even while drinking water. There I was sitting at home drinking water, massaging my wife's feet. Always do that together because I love my wife. She's my beloved wife. And then my son calls me up from Canada, all the way from Canada, and he says, "Dad, have you heard?" I was watching the game at that point. I was a little irritated. I said, "Heard what?" And he said, "Now you can get Kotak home loans at just 6.5%. I went crazy. I spat all over my own wife. After massaging her feet, I spat there. Can you believe it? And I couldn't believe it. I spat over her, and all I can say is, Kripiya dhyan rakhiye. Because now I'm sleeping on the living room couch as a result of that. But really, folks, can you believe it's 6.5%? That is incredibly low for a home loan. Just visit www.kotak.com for more info. Terms and conditions apply. Interest rate starting at 6.5% per annum.
Expectations only lead to disappointments. That's a cliche. That's also the truth for many people. That's also the experience that most of us have had when we have expected something from different people in our life, especially those that we love very, very dearly. However, it's not a crime to expect something from somebody. Yes, I want you to know that. The mistake is not that you expect. The error is in judgment, in the way that you assess this other person and decide whether or not it's okay to expect something from them or not. If I've got you slightly confused, well, that's not my intention, but this particular episode is not about how we should not expect, but rather, I'm calling out all those people who lead us on to that point where we start expecting things from them, and then they fail to live up to it. Basically, I'm talking about a very sound piece of advice I was given a very long time ago by an ex-boyfriend's sister. She said, "Don't start a habit you cannot sustain." And that's the same principle I'm going to break down in this episode, tying it to expectations. So the bottom line is, don't lead somebody on into believing things about you if you're not going to live up to it. Hi, I'm Chetna. I'm a positive action coach, as most of y'all who tune in every time know by now. And this is Say No to Drama. Well, today I'm jumping on the other side of expectations. I'm flipping the coin and telling you the other side of this story. Is it wrong to have expectations? No, it is not. It is not a crime to expect something from somebody. Like I said before, the error is in how you came to that assessment that it is okay for you to expect something or you should expect something from this person. And there is an episode that I have done on expectations in my Positively Unlimited podcast. So I'm not jumping into the details of how you should assess and how you should come to the conclusion whether or not somebody will be able to live up to it or not. Because I promise you, go listen to it. There is a very simple and neat formula. Yes, there is a way in which you can assess whether or not you should expect something from a certain person and what can you expect from them. There is a way to assess that. So go listen to that episode. However, this episode is about how we behave in people's lives, which lead them on, which take them to that point where they start trusting and they believe and they say, okay, since this person behaves like this with me, I can expect them to be this kind of a person in my life. And then when the moment actually comes, boom, they're nowhere to be seen. Let me try and explain this with an example. Supposing you don't really want to take on responsibilities in a certain person's life, and may not be responsibilities in general, but you don't want to take on a certain type of responsibility. You don't want to be part of something that is happening in their life specifically, okay? Then don't tell them that you are there for them. Don't act like you will stand by them no matter what happens. Don't behave like you are the most reliable and the most trustworthy person in their life. Sure, that may be a sort of a natural demeanor for you, but then you need to communicate to them and tell them that, look, for every other thing, I'm there, but for this particular aspect, don't depend on me. So basically, stop leading people on. If you don't want to show up for somebody in general or even in a particular situation, then don't portray yourself to be this person who is completely reliable and who will always be there for them and who, they can trust completely no matter what. Don't act like the knight in shining armor. Similarly, if I take this into the dating space, if you don't want something that is serious, if you are looking for something that is casual, then be upfront and honest about it. And don't set expectations in the other person's mind that there would be any chance that you're going to commit to something. Another simpler example, and this one a lot of us are guilty of, is when you talk to somebody, whether it's on Instagram or whether it's on chat or whether in person, and you tell the person, hey, it's been a long time, we should totally hang out. And then a few weeks later, this person asks you out or tells you, let's meet, or throws a plan towards you. And you make excuses because you never intended to meet them in the first place. You set an expectation. And so they played into that. And then now you find yourself making excuses, right? I mean, these are simplistic examples that I'm giving you, okay? We all do this sometimes because we're also being polite. There's no malice in behaving in that manner, right? We're not doing it with the intention to hurt, but yes, it's a white lie and it puts us in a tough position. So, for your own sake, be a little more honest, or rather, don't tell somebody that you want to hang out with them if you don't really want to hang out with them. Anyway, coming to that space of how we lead somebody on to expect things from us, and then we end up not showing up. So, for anybody who is really hurting because every time they expect something from somebody, they get disappointed, you need to do two things. One is you need to go listen to that episode on Positively Unlimited about expectations. It is called Expectations. And assess this person and the expectation that you have from them based on those three aspects that I have mentioned in that episode very clearly. Okay. And the second thing that you need to do, if in case you assess and you realize that, you know what, no, what I'm expecting is absolutely normal and it's fine, and yet this person is not showing up, then you need to call this person out on it. Yes. One of the reasons why we continue this bad habit is because nobody calls us out on it. Also, individually, each one of us needs to take a good hard look in the mirror and ask ourselves, are we doing this to somebody in our life? Are you leading somebody on in your life to expect something from you and then you are not showing up? Understand one thing, if you are acting in a certain way because you are trying to people please, and then you are not able to show up when the moment comes because 5,000 other things are happening in your life and you are stretched too thin, then you need to work on the whole people pleasing aspect that you are burdened with. So you see, there's a whole other perspective to expectations. It's not just about me expecting something from you, but it's also how you are showing up in my life, how you are presenting yourself in my life. What is the space that you want to own in my life? And are you acting in accordance with that? And then when you are called on to really be present in that space that you have taken up and you don't turn up, then I am going to be disappointed. And no, it is not my fault for having expected something from you. Because I didn't just expect something from you out of thin air. You built those expectations. You were party to that. You know, when we talk about being authentic, one of the layers is exactly this. Don't say and do things that you are not willing to live up to. Don't start a habit that you are not willing to sustain. If you don't want to, and if you cannot be there for somebody, no matter what, then don't act like you are that 3 a.m. person. You don't have to be the 3 a.m. person for every single one in your life. Take a deep breath and learn to back off in some relationships and learn to show up in some relationships. If people expect things from you, it's not their fault entirely. Ask yourself what role you have played to make them feel that it is okay for them to expect what they do from you. On that note, guys, That episode that I've told you about called Expectations, this is the third time that I'm saying it in this episode, is on the IVM podcast app and website. Go back to it, listen to it. It's on my Positively Unlimited podcast. And you can connect with us on Instagram and Twitter. Our handle is IVM Podcast. If you would like to talk to me a little bit more about expectations, or if you would like to change the way you are communicating and you are showing up in your relationships, follow me on Instagram. My handle is Positivity Angel. I hope that you're following my video series on Instagram called Speak Listen, because that can really help you change the way you speak and change the way you process your feelings as well as your beliefs. On that note, I'm out of here and I will catch you again on the next episode.
$100. That's all it takes to begin your journey with Bitcoin and Ethereum. No, really. With CoinSwitch, you can start investing in over 100 cryptocurrencies with just 100 rupees. On top of that, there are zero charges for deposits and withdrawals, so you can trade, buy, sell, however and whenever you want. All of this, plus their extremely intuitive interface, makes CoinSwitch the perfect app for beginners in the crypto space. But don't take my word for it. Just download CoinSwitch for free and try it out for yourself. If you'd like more information on cryptocurrencies, tune into A Show About Crypto with me, Rohan Joshi, my new adventure on IVM Podcasts. CoinSwitch, kuch to badlega.
Hey everybody, it's been a great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On A Show About Crypto, Rohan Joshi is joined by Jayanti Kanani, co-founder and CEO of Matic Network, to discuss crypto and blockchain inventions in India. On Audio Gayan, Kedar and Avindeep talk to one of India's most experienced designers, Rush Bhatt, the co-founder of ClearTrip. On The Longest Constitution, Priya takes us through religious personal laws and the criminalization of triple talaq. On Niyata, Anirudh tells us how the Mughals transformed from a warband into an empire. Why is cringe watching so addictive and viral? On Smarter with Sid, Siddharth covers cringe watching from 4 perspectives: creators, individuals, communities, and brands. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors this week: Cred, Bank of Baroda, Quarter, CoinSwitch, Kuber, Slay Coffee, Intel, Kotak Mahindra Bank, and Oxfam India. Thank you so much for making this possible.